Hey there, it's Lacy J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that Space Bear Media also has a YouTube page where you can go to watch a video pre-show before every podcast episode? If you haven't watched it yet, stop, go there, do so, and then come back. All right, here we are. Lost episode 3 already. This is a Kate episode. It's titled Tabula Rasa. All things Kate. It's great. I'm here. Well, who am I? I'm Lacy. And I'm here, of course, with Christy and Derek and Ben. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yo.
Hello.
And we are ready to jump into episode 3. But first, we're going to have Ben catch us up on our Lost power rankings. Where did we end after the pilot in 2 parts?
Well, not surprisingly, Kate got up to a lead, doing no small part to her, her sexiness.
Hotness.
Yeah, she is hot. So she's basically far in the lead.
Actually, you know what? I should have even reviewed. Sorry, you guys, about the power rankings, just so they understand why, with her being hot, how she's so far ahead. So each week we are ranking every character, first, second, and third, best and worst. We'll probably only share with you our first, best, and worst, sometimes all 3, but just for time's sake, you don't have to sit through all of them. They will be posted online, so you can look at them. But you either gain points or you lose points, depending on if you're best or worst, obviously. But you can get bonus points or bonus negative points if we want to either fuck you or kill you. And everybody wants to fuck Kate, so she gets all the extra points. And that's why she's way ahead.
This
all
is
right,
true.
There you go.
This is true.
Christy, don't you want to fuck Kate?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Who else is in the power rankings?
Well, of course, Jack is second place in the power rankings. I mean, being the prototypical kind of pro tag, how could he not be? And we've got Saeed pulling up the third place. Down at the very, very bottom, of course, we've got Shannon.
Wah, wah.
I mean, how could you? She's just
No surprise there.
Yeah, she's just awful.
Yeah, I
though
mean,
she's hot.
well, that's the thing. Is like she'll manage, she'll pick up a few points for being fuckable, but the character, mind you, make sure that, when we're talking about the fuckable stuff, obviously it's the real person, but when we really hate someone, it's the character, not like the actress. I'm sure she's lovely.
Yeah, and it's not beyond.
But Shannon's
it's not beyond.
awful.
Lovely.
But she's worthless, though.
And I also want to say that, like,
nah. Fuck
the
that girl.
fuck and kill are not mutually exclusive either.
Oh, that's
like,
true. Yeah,
Right,
can't
that is
happen. You
true.
can do the same.
Yeah.
There are hate fuck scenarios that happen.
Yeah, you want to fucking kill him, so.
Yep, exactly.
You can definitely like praying mantis that shit.
Yeah,
Fuck 'em,
exactly.
and then like bite their heads off or whatever they do.
All right. So pulling up the rear with Shannon, we have Sawyer and then Jin. Neither of which really
Right, because Jin
ingratiated themselves with the viewers at this point.
Yeah, well, because Jin is coming off as like a misogynistic jackass, and Sawyer tries to be hated,
Sawyer is
so it makes
also a
sense.
misogynistic jackass.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah, yep. Different parts of the world, same attitude.
Same attitude, except he's the one that the girls want to climb on top of. That's the only real difference at this point.
He's got the
dimple
dimples,
power.
and it does. It evens out some other things, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started on episode 3, Tabula Rasa, which in English means clean slate.
Is that English or is that? I thought that was Latin.
Tabula Rasa
it is Latin. I said in English it means clean slate.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so we're day 2 on the island, and we're in this quote unquote medical tent, I guess. It's clearly kind of makeshift area that Jack is tending to the critically wounded Marshall. And he's muttering to himself. He looks kind of delirious, and he's saying, "Don't trust her. She's dangerous." Jack, of course, inquires about who she is, and he's instructed to reach into the jacket pocket of the Marshal, and he takes out the mugshot of Kate, or it's like the wanted poster or something, because I guess he needed.
Mugshot.
Yes, very hot.
Well, right, yeah. Clearly, I mean, she is always looking good when getting arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is, like, I don't know why it irks me to no end, but, like, you went there, you caught her. Like, why do you still need that in your pocket? It's weird to me. Like, I don't know.
It's going to be a long stay. You need stroke material.
Yeah, definitely.
He wants to fuck her too, apparently.
Exactly.
Of course. And he has handcuffs.
Yeah, well,
True,
and so...
true.
So I'm interpreting Jack in this scene as like getting a little excited over her being a bad girl, but that could just also be my fantasy and not actually what was intended for the show. So, the party of people, we cut to the like group of people that are trying to go get the signal, and we've got Saeed, Kate, Sawyer, Boone, Shannon, and Charlie. And they're coming down the mountain. It's getting dark, and they want to like make camp for the night. And this is clearly after they realize that their hope is dwindling, because they've realized that there's been somebody stranded on this island for at least 16 years. Sawyer really wants to just keep trucking through the jungle overnight, but everybody else convinces them that they should sit down, make a fire, sit around. They start to discuss the information that they have, and like whether or not they should take it back to camp and tell everyone, or if they should keep it to themselves. It is shared that the pilot said that they were over 1,000 miles off course, and Saeed says to everyone that he thinks they should keep it a secret because hope is a very dangerous thing to lose, which I thought was a good line.
Very true.
Well, right. And then it also kind of draws this line between these characters that know the truth and the ones who do not. Right. So we're jumping back into the tent. And Hurley comes walking in and finds the like flyer with Kate as a fugitive on it, because I guess Jack didn't think that he needed to fold that back up and hide it. And so Hurley is like questioning, well, what the fuck is this?
I don't think he forgot. I think his mind was just sort of empty after he got his release.
Yeah.
What?
That does happen.
It does, man. You just kind of quit caring about certain things, and
Just the afterglow.
Oh my God, the afterglow. I have seen a lot of guys come, and none of you fuckers glow afterward.
Glow, sleep.
Internal
What's the difference?
glowing, yeah.
No. Okay. Oh my God. So Hurley is questioning Jack about the fucking crazy monster, or Vincent, or whatever.
Vincent.
Yeah. And
Vinzilla.
he asks him how he knows it's not a dinosaur. And Jack, he wants to laugh at that, but honestly, how do you know it's not a dinosaur?
That's a good point. It could be Jurassic Park.
How do you,
Yep, Jurassic Island.
All right. So.
But I love that Jack's just like, because dinosaurs are extinct. And Hurley goes, oh, yeah.
I was used to him.
I think maybe if he had put that question to him, like a season from now, he might think differently. But I think they're still at the point right now where it's like, okay, this is still I guess this is still sort of normal.
I guess so, right? Like, I've seen the show, so I know that dinosaurs aren't really that far out of the realm of possibilities on this island. But I guess at this point, yeah, they don't really know how crazy it is there.
Yeah.
All right. So we go back up to the people at the camp. It's nighttime, and Boone fucking tries to, he does steal the gun from Sawyer and the magazine from Saeed as they sleep. And they wake.
Dimwit.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he means well, but he's such a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's really what it is. He does have an okay heart. It's like his sister is awful, evil little bitch. He seems to have some of heart, but he's just useless.
They share one another's ineptitude. That must be genetic.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Anyway, so he steals the gun. They wake up. They're fighting, whatever. And they are arguing over how, like, who should have control of the gun, who should be in charge of it, who's like the most responsible one of the group. And so, of course, they pick Kate because we all now know that she's a criminal.
Yes, definitely give the gun to the criminal.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Oh,
But they don't know
meanwhile,
this.
Yeah, you don't want Kate with her finger on the button, right?
Right.
she can put her finger on my button.
I don't have a button that I know of, but I'll let her find it.
Yeah.
You just keep setting them up, babe. I'll keep knocking them down.
All righty. All right.
Wait, I do want to mention something that's going on in this episode, and it does continue throughout the show, and watching it in a different lens, nearly 20 years later, is Sawyer. He calls Saeed both Abdul and Al Jazeera in this episode, and I can't really remember if I thought that was funny at the time, but it makes me cringe now, and I don't know. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Like, he gives Kate her nickname Freckles, which I think is adorable. But he makes fun of Saeed and Hurley.
redneck.
I
remember the time that this was 2004, right after 9/11. Iraq was happening.
Yep, I get it. No, I get that it's a different time. I'm not criticizing it for what it was at the time. I hate when people do that to shows. But I don't know, it bugs me.
Well, and who was it in their little group that was like, Al Jazeera's a network, not a person?
I don't even remember, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So clearly, they make the best decision there is, and they give the gun to Kate, and then whoosh, we're in a flashback. And Kate is like asleep in some hay, and she's awoken by a farmer. He appears to be, I guess, a sheep farmer. And she tells him that her name is Annie, and she's a recent college graduate visiting Australia to see the world. But like, she ran out of money, which is weird. I feel like if you were going to plan a trip around the world, you'd probably bring enough money. It's
actually like literally a thing. People will go to foreign countries and then beg for money.
Like, to get back?
Really? Wow.
Just to continue their fucking vacation. Like, backpackers will go to like
Can you do that?
Thailand.
And it works?
It does. But a lot of these countries are starting to get pissed off at white people coming in and doing this because they have poor people of their own.
Yeah.
Who need
usually a
the money.
bigger percentage too. Than
here. So.
Dude, I had no idea
people.
that was even like a fucking issue.
I didn't either.
By the way, for the listeners, I am white, so I can say fucking white people if I want.
Well, okay. I mean, you can check out our Facebook page.
You can't say it on there.
Lost in my 40s. No. Don't use the word white on Facebook. Right. I've gone to jail for that egregious mistake. But you can go to our Facebook page and you can see all of our pasty white faces if you'd really like to.
I prefer melanin challenged.
You know what? That's what I write online so that I don't get put in jail. I do a lot of the melanin challenged. Yeah. All right. So we're back in the flashback, and the farmer, Ray, buys her story that she's just like a broke gal, a Canadian, right? I guess.
Would you say Kate pulled the wool over his eyes?
Oh.
I mean, I would say that, but I don't know about y'all.
So anyway, she tells him her name is Annie, and he asks her if she can stay and do some work around the farm. He tells her that like his wife has died. What's wrong with you?
She could work around my farm any day.
The word plow just keeps coming into my head right now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Jesus. Ray tells Annie that his wife is dead and he's losing like his farm. He can't afford his mortgage. He's got a hell of a mortgage, but somehow he still has money to hire her. And so she now like works on the farm. And we're back on the island. It is day 3. Hurley comes into the medical tent area to tell Jack that the people that went for the signal have returned. So Kate immediately pulls Jack aside and tells him the truth about the message. And I feel like he is sort of torn in this moment because he appreciates that she came to him and is acting as though she trusts him and thinks that he should be included in what is kind of forming as like the inner circle of the power structure on the beach, I guess. And, but he knows that she's a fugitive. So he's a little bit torn, Jack the hero. But anyway, so Kate asks him if the marshal has regained consciousness. And Jack says, he did, but only briefly. And she, of course, inquires of whether or not he says anything. Jack lies to her and tells her no. So now Jack is on guard for like, what is she up to? Because clearly she was arrested. The marshal takes a turn for the worse. He's kind of choking and gasping. And Jack pretty much knows that he does not have what he needs to save this guy. He's definitely dying. Hurley has been searching everywhere for medicines. He will not go into the fuselage, is what he's telling Jack, because there's a bunch of corpses
stinks like hell in there.
Yeah, tropical island.
Day 3.
Sitting out in the sun.
Yummy.
Rotting.
Well, they're in the fuselage, so I don't know if they're in the sun, but the humidity.
Humidity is hot in there.
And the humidity that's going to get trapped in there, and that is just going to, that's
it's
nasty.
It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Well, you know what? When you're decomposing, yeah,
it is both. It is both, yes.
So anyways, Hurley is searching for more water and to bring back to the tent. And when he's running down the beach, he kind of bumps face first into Kate, and she's trying to be really nice and introduce herself and ask his name. And, she's very smiley, and he's just kind of looking at her like, oh my God, what did she do? And he's clearly afraid of her. Did you think she picked up on that, or did she just think he was weird?
I think she just thinks he's weird.
Yeah,
he's weird.
That was the impression that I got too. Hurley is not weird. Hurley is wonderful, and I love him, and I can't wait for his episodes. So anyways, Hurley notices that she has a gun tucked in her belt. And so at this point, he's like, holy shit, the fugitive has a gun. How the hell did this happen? And he kind of like stammers for a minute and then runs off.
I want to play poker. I'm going to play poker with him. I know they don't have any money, but if you play poker with Hurley, like he's just got no poker face. He had no poker face at all.
No, not at all.
No, none.
He'd be an easy mark.
So kind of surrounding them, they are, while Hurley and Kate were talking, they're having kind of a wide shot of the beach, and everybody around them is searching through all of the luggage that's strewn across the beach, and they're, I'm assuming, looking for their own luggage. And Jin tells Sun that she's dirty and should wash herself 3 days after they were in a plane crash. So then it flashes back into the second flashback, and Kate is kind of rifling through the pantry in Ray's kitchen, and she pulls out some earrings from a tin can and like a stack of cash or whatever. And Ray turns the light on and comes in and confronts her, and is just like basically asking her what she's doing, why she's hiding. It comes out in conversation that she's been there for 3 months. It looks like she's been stashing away all the money that he's given her, and that she needs to move on. And he asks her to just stay one more night if she won't stay any longer than that, and let him take her to the train station. And the next morning, and she, smiles and agrees. And we zoom on back over to the island, and Kate is leaning over the marshal's body, kind of like looking at him while he's unconscious. And suddenly he opens his eyes and grabs her by the fucking throat. And he jumps up suddenly and is holding her by the throat, which I found hot, which was probably not the way that was written.
I don't think that was the writer's intention.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm fairly certain it wasn't, but that's where my head went. Anyway, so they're fighting, and Jack comes back in and kind of breaks it up. And Kate is gasping for air, and the marshal just kind of goes into shock, I guess. And Jack's trying to give him water and tend to him, and Kate is denying that she provoked him in any way.
So accusatory.
Very.
It's what did you do to him?
Well, I mean, because he knows that she's the fugitive. So you have to imagine, if he's a U.S. Marshal, she's a fugitive, you would be inclined to take the side
why are you
of
in
the
here
Marshal,
with the
right?
gun?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I know she's hot, but I still might be kind of afraid if I knew that she was a fugitive. But yeah, anyway, so they leave the tent, Kate and Jack, and Kate basically, she's asking him, is there any way he can survive? And Jack's saying no, and she's asking why they're not basically going to euthanize him. And once she says that, Jack lets her know that knows that she's the fugitive, and tells her that he's not a murderer. So then we go into another flashback, number 3. And Kate and Ray are in his truck, and they're just kind of riding along silently, presumably on the way to the train station. And Ray is asking if she's hungry, and she's kind of looking in the rearview mirror nervously. There's this black SUV that's behind them, but it's a wide open road. It's not necessarily they're being followed. But she looks suspicious. And then he asks her if they listen to Patsy Cline in Canada, because she was playing on the radio, which I thought was really weird, because she's American, and somehow he thinks that her music would make it to Australia, but not Canada. I don't know. The little things that bother me along the way.
Yeah.
So anyways, then she's still looking kind of behind her at this SUV, and you see that it dawns on her face that okay, something's happening here, because the SUV is driving a little too close at this point. And so she asks him basically, okay, how long have you known? And he tells her a few days, but obviously Ray convinced her to stay another night so that he could turn her in. He told her there's a $23,000 reward, and, he's got that mortgage. And just then the SUV pulls up next to them on the road, and the window rolls down, and it's the marshal, of course. And he makes this really obnoxious, shooter gesture, pew pew at her. So fucking stupid.
Gotcha, bitch.
I don't. So we're gonna go back to the island, and
just a sec before we go back to the island. Do you think that the scenario would have played out differently if Kate had put out? Would Ray have done the same thing?
Yeah, probably.
You think so?
He's got that mortgage.
I understand that, but he's got that mortgage, and then there's experiences in life as well.
How do you know she didn't?
I don't.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think
true.
she did because he turned her in.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what you think.
We get full circle.
Yes.
That's what you call circular reasoning. So no, but you know what we're witnessing here, Christy, is projection from the men who are saying as long as a hot girl's fucking them, they have no problem evading the authorities. Our friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
I suppose that may be true. Yes, okay. I'm not going to deny it.
No, they will give up the ransom money if they get the
Yeah, what mortgage?
Yeah, if you get,
they get the goods.
He's just going to live inside Kate. I mean, he doesn't need a house anymore.
Oh my God. We're back on the island now. There's another like torrential downpour happening, and Michael is getting on Walt's case about the bald guy he's been seen with. He's worried about his safety, and I mean, you don't blame him because Locke, he's creepy.
He's creepy.
The creepy stairs.
Right. He's creepy, and Walt is a child, so I get it. And Walt is like, no, he's my friend. And Michael tries to, well, I'm your friend too. And Walt, he's like, nope, a true friend would find my dog. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. So Michael's
Walt
like,
can
okay,
call bullshit. You got to give him that.
I guess. He's good at guilt trips too.
Hell yeah, man.
So Michael's like, okay, fine, I'll look for the dog, but only when it stops raining. And then it just like immediately stops raining right then and there.
He's like, shit.
Yeah.
Now I got to go find this fucking dog.
Yeah. So he's out in the jungle and he's just kind of like mumbling to himself. And says something about how he's walking through the haunted damn jungle, which I thought was funny. And then there's this loud like rustling in the bushes, and he's calling for Vincent, but then the sound is getting louder and louder, and you can tell that it's definitely not a dog, because you have skills apparently beyond Walt, who doesn't know that his dog doesn't sound like a fucking roller coaster. And so Michael takes off running because obviously whatever this monster is coming for him. And he's like booking it through the jungle and comes to a little opening, and there's Sun topless, bathing herself in the jungle. And Michael just like dead stops, kind of stares at her, and almost does. Have you guys ever seen that meme, the one with Homer Simpson, where he just like backs into a bush?
Yeah,
or like it's a GIF. Yeah, and he just sort of like that's exactly what he was just like zoop and back into the bush.
Like, I didn't see anything. And then he bends over and picks up her shirt and hands it to her.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So weird.
He definitely saw boobies.
He definitely saw something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Off camera, he took a big old whiff of the shirt. He's like,
oh my God.
3 days would probably be pretty ripe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some guys will pay extra for that.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. You can like sell your dirty underwear on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
$50.
Was that Quagmire?
Yeah, you remember the time they were it was like a police auction, and they're like, this pair of women's panties, like $50, and they go, she had seven.
she
was
peed in
7
it.
STDs, $45. She peed in them when she was arrested, $50.
Yeah,
I thought of it. Sorry,
I remember.
Get my Quagmire on.
So. So after the titty scene, we're back into the tent, and this marshal is he's screaming and he's anguished, and it sounds horrible. And we start to kind of like pan around the beach, and we find that everybody's a little bit annoyed by the screaming. And
it's like that scene in The Beach.
Yes.
Where the guy like gets
underrated
hurt on the coral
movie.
reef or whatever, and then then everyone's sitting around listening to him.
You never saw
that
the
one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes,
yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Tilda Swinton.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those movies people love or hate. I loved it. I
like he's
it.
incredibly talented, but he just doesn't, like, when some people are like, "Oh my God, Leo, he's so hot," it doesn't do a thing for me.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know if that's why I care, but the movie is great. Tilda Swinton is amazing in it. But yeah, it's a scene, the guy that gets bitten by the shark. And they can't do anything.
Did he get bit by a shark? I thought he just got hurt like on the. Okay, I thought it was
he got
coral
bit by
reef
a
or something
shark.
where he got. Anyway, yeah. He got savaged in the sea, and then
yes. And they like put him in a tent to die, and because he was just screaming and stuff, and
killing everyone's buzz.
Well, you can see that everybody's kind of on edge because it's like, we were just through this plane crash. It's been a couple days, and now we're listening to the screams of a dying man. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, babe?
Got any special occasions coming up that you need a card for?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an advertisement.
Is this about barbcards.com again?
Bingo.
So I suppose you're going to remind me that each handmade card is only $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't come with busy backgrounds or flowery poetry?
You got it. Barbcards.com offers to-the-point communication within several different categories, including our favorite, potty mouth. And if you can't find what you want, barbcards.com can do customizations.
Can I still get all of my cards for no more than $4 shipping, no matter the size of the order?
You know it. Barbcards.com has got all you need. Hey, Ben.
Oh, my God. What are we selling now?
Merch.
Our merch?
Yes, sir. Shirts, coffee mugs, wine tumblers, bottle openers, stickers, magnets, and more. Your choice of product and your choice of Space Bear Media graphic from any of our podcasts.
Please tell me we're not making merch now, too.
Of course not. We'll stick to podcasts, and Pixis products will do the rest.
Thank God. I bet you have more to say, though.
Sure do. Pixis Products is a small business run by a local mom, well, local to us anyway, who needed something else to do besides being a snack bitch.
A what?
A snack bitch, also known as a mom with a young child.
There's still more, isn't there?
Yepers! Pixis Products works with other small businesses for supplies, art, and other collaborations at every opportunity, including ours. In fact, Pixis Products even gave Space Bear Media our own storefront on their site. You can find us at shopspacebear.com.
Say what?
You heard me. Go to shopspacebear.com and buy something. Charlie sits down next to Locke and he's like whittling something. Apparently another talent, Captain Plane Crash is has a niche for. So Charlie is like sits down and starts talking about the fucking band and
you all everybody.
And Locke doesn't fucking care. And so you can hear from across the camp, Shannon starts bitching, and this is probably the only time I'll be ever on her side. But she just really wants the guy to die, and I totally agree. Just fucking kill him. He's not going to live anyways. Let's stop listening to him screaming. Put him out of his misery. And Boone, of course, is like, oh, real humane, Shannon. And
actually, it would be more humane than allowing him to die slowly.
To suffer painfully.
Yes. Well, nobody said Boone was smart.
Yeah.
Again, he means well, but he's a moron.
Yes.
So Saeed comes up to Jack and is kind of being like, what's going on with the dude? Everybody's on edge. And Jack is just, very much, I'm trying to save this man's life, whatever. So Kate's trying to start a fire, but she's out of matches, and Sawyer appears with a lighter. And
magical Zippo.
Yes, and thanks, Kate, for taking the gun and having that responsibility, basically. And she was like, why would you, thank me for that? And he tells her because he would hate to have to be the one to have the gun because everybody knows whoever has it is going to have to kill this guy because he is, dying and they can't save him. So Jack is trying to treat him in the tent because Jack is a stubborn bastard who, does not want to give in to the euthanasia plan.
Surgeons have God complexes.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's stubborn, Jack, and wants to win and be the hero.
Trying and trying. Yep.
Yeah. So the marshal is awake again, and he's telling Jack, like, whatever you do not trust her. She will do anything to get away. Which, away from where now? I don't know.
Newsflash, she got away.
She got away.
Derek, anything.
Yeah.
Jack is like, So, Jack wants to know what she did, and he asks the marshal, and he does not get a response. We get pushed into another flashback, and the two cars were back to little pew pew shooter guy, where we're like right back at the same moment in that scene. And the cars are going down this highway, and the marshal slows down like a little bit because there's another car coming, and Kate just goes fucking crazy and grabs the steering wheel and yanks it and flips the car.
That's never going to end well.
I don't know. I know. Like, how is that your way out? I guess if you're desperate.
That's not going to work.
Well, so they go fucking flying off the road, and the car is rolling over.
It's a finally truck,
crashes.
It's a truck.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's like a pickup truck, right?
Yeah.
An old farmer pickup truck.
So it finally crashes, stops. It's like catching fire. Ray appears to be unconscious, and Kate is able to climb out of the truck, and instead of just running, suddenly she decides she's going to take the time to save Ray after she just did what could have quite possibly killed him.
Yeah. And her presence of mind, her ability to operate, function perfectly after rolling like 6 times in a truck.
Like, and the fact that she had not a scratch. I don't think she was wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah. I mean, she is a woman of hardy constitution.
Yes.
I just love that she grabs him by both arms and starts pulling him. And it's like, oh, I forgot that he didn't, like, one of those arms is wooden, and it just fucking falls off in her hand.
Yeah, it falls off. What the fuck? Why was this necessary to push the plot forward? Did she have to, like, rip the fucking arm off? But
come on, Ray. Come on. You're falling to pieces here.
I guess the answer to that is it slowed her down. And so she takes her time to rescue this guy and gets caught. And then the marshal is there, and he, puts the gun up and is like, hey, Kate. So we go back to the island, and Kate goes in the tent, and the marshal is awake, and he makes a comment to her referring to when they were on the plane, just before the back of the plane like rips off, and the marshal takes the suitcase to his face like a champ.
Yeah.
I could watch that over and over.
They let you because they show it no less than 6 times. Like whoever did that scenario was so proud of that scene. They're like, we're putting that in every fucking flashback.
Yeah, because it's great.
And that dude just bam, ouch.
And blood gushing.
Yeah. So anyways, right before that happens, she asks him for a favor. So while now in the tent, he wants to know what this favor was. And she tells him that, at the time she didn't know they were going to crash. She thought they'd land in LA, and that she wanted to make sure that Ray got his $23,000. And Ray says, the guy who ratted you out? And she responds, he had a hell of a mortgage.
Well, and now he needs a new truck too. So
yeah, right.
And a new prosthetic arm.
Yeah, a better arm too.
23,000. Oh, you know what? I was going to say that 23,000 won't even cover the medical bills, but they're in Australia where healthcare is a normal thing that people have. So never mind. That's uniquely American.
Just socialist pigs.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so the marshal kind of laughs, and he's just like, you're one of a kind or something like that to Kate. And then he says to her, I'm going to die tonight, right? She says, yeah. And he asks if she'll be the one to do it. And we cut to Hurley and Jack. And Hurley is asking Jack, like, where the fugitive is. And Jack says she's in the medical tent. And Hurley's like, oh, why would you leave her in there? Because she has that gun. And Jack's like, what the fuck? And gets out. We're like, what? And so he runs, into the tent. And as he gets there, he sees Kate like leaving out of the back of the tent, and he says, like, what have you done? And right as he says that, you hear a gunshot from in the tent, and then Sawyer comes walking out with the gun in his hand. So the answer to Jack's question is, I gave the gun to someone else to do the deed. Jack becomes like really angry, but Sawyer, or he says, you know, like, what did you do, Sawyer? And Sawyer responds with, what you couldn't, Jack. And and so you think like, okay, well, fine. It was Sawyer. He was going to do the deed. It's done. We've euthanized the guy. And then you hear like coming from the tent.
So he didn't kill a guy that was laying there half dead, point blank.
Right.
Yeah.
So
after having gunned down a polar bear in full charge coming at him, I think Sawyer is like a D&D character, right? He either rolls nat 20s or nat 1s all the time. He is hero or zero. Nowhere in between.
In this case, he's rolled a -1 because what we find out what this dipshit did, instead of just putting a bullet between these guys' fucking eyes, he like shoots him in the chest and punctures a lung. And so now he's choking on his own blood.
He was aiming for the heart. At point blank range, how did you fucking miss?
Exactly.
Unless he had no heart.
No, what he missed was anatomy class because he apparently does not know where the heart is. And he punctured a lung.
Maybe Marshall was one of those guys with the heart with like everything in his body was like flipped and the heart was actually
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
They're in the southern hemisphere. Like the toilets go the other way. Like the heart goes on the other direction. Yeah. We all know this.
The seasons are backwards.
Dude, this is science.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, according to science, Australia isn't even real. Ask the flat earthers. They'll tell you.
That you fall off the planet.
Yeah, there is no Australia. It's a hoax. So, anyways, okay, so Jack is yelling at Sawyer and telling him, like, get the fuck out of the tent, because Jack's got to figure out, you know, what he's got to do, which is now he's, I don't know, got to suffocate the guy, I guess. I don't know. And so Sawyer's, like, outside of the tent, and he's trying to light a cigarette, and there's just screams are just getting louder and louder and louder, and then they just stop. Dead silent, and Jack comes walking out of the tent, and he just is silent past Sawyer, not even a word. And you realize that Jack had to do something horrific because Sawyer royally fucked this up.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
You can imagine, like just extending on my D&D metaphor, if Sawyer, when trying to light that cigarette, had rolled another one, he would have set his hair on fire.
Oh God, no! Please don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
not that hair.
Not that hair. Leave that.
Yeah,
the hair and the dimples is the only thing carrying him out of the
I don't know.
bottom
when he takes off his shirt,
the power rankings.
I enjoy that. So
I do enjoy that too. All right, so it's the next day. We've made it to day 4 on the island, and Locke is like sitting on the beach, looking very zen, blowing his newly whittled dog whistle is what we realized, because I guess somewhere along the line he picked up that skill to whittle dog whistles. And Vincent,
there's an undergrad program for that.
Is there? Yeah. Vincent comes running out of the jungle, and Locke does something surprising. He takes Vincent and he gives him to Michael and tells him that Michael should be the one to bring the dog back. So he's super uber creepy, but this is like kind of one of the first moments that we get like, oh, well, maybe he's actually kind of caring or empathetic and not just insanely creeptastic.
Yeah.
So we cut to Jack, and he is just kind of sitting on the beach silently. He's staring out at the ocean. And Kate comes up behind him and sits down next to him. And she says that she is ready to tell him why she was a fugitive. And he tells her no, that he doesn't want to know. They're on this island and they're far away. And he has thought about it. And he thinks everybody should be allowed to start over. And he actually says, it doesn't matter who we were, Kate. 3 days ago, we all died. Which I thought was a really powerful line. And then we get like a montage where they're kind of panning over the beach and we're checking in with all of the other characters. And we see Hurley. He's got his Walkman. He puts that on and he starts the music, and then we hear his music. And we see Jin and Sun, and they look kind of loving. They're having a loving moment together. And that Boone is being nice to Shannon, and they're having a loving moment together. Saeed actually hands Sawyer a piece of fruit, and it just, you kind of get the feeling that everybody's sort of settling in, and they're figuring out that we've got to find a way to get along here, because we have to find a way to survive. And then we pan over to Locke, and Hurley's happy music changes into what sounds to be very ominous music. And Locke is sitting there again, looking kind of zen, just staring off into nowhere. And you get the feeling like there's more to this guy than we know. And that's it. You get the lost title screen and the episode is over. Into our little segments here. I do have a bit of an announcement, a little bit of a change in the format from the first two episodes, because I have to admit that I realized I had fucked up a little bit. I had come up with the idea to pick out, a guest actor in the show and kind of tell you where else you might have seen them. And to be honest, I got the idea watching the pilot episode because of the actor who played the actual pilot. And I recognized him, from Heroes. And I thought, that might be a good idea. And then I quickly realized that there just aren't that many guest stars, at least in the first couple of seasons. And so it was a dumb idea. And I'm changing it. And I'm going to do once a week a fun fact. I'm going to pull out some aspect of the episode, whether it may be a big plot point or something tiny that sparked my interest, and we're going to talk about those facts. So,
okay.
Yes, thank you for your approval. Mm-hmm. So today I have some facts about the U.S. Marshal Service, which I did not actually know a lot about. It was the first federal law enforcement agency of the United States, and it has been in practice since 1789. And essentially what their job is to enforce. They are the enforcement arm of the federal courts. So they're like federal police, but not the FBI. They're not an investigative body so much as they are strictly enforcement. Yeah, exactly.
And they're bounty hunters.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, a bounty hunter is a thing.
It's a state-sponsored bounty hunter.
Yes, right. Yes, it would be a government bounty hunter. But that's not all that they do. So they could be assigned to protect federal judiciary as kind of like their bodyguards, I guess. They do apprehend fugitives, like you were saying, bounty hunters. They also manage and sell any seized assets acquired by criminals through illegal activities. So, drugs and drug money and all kinds of
drugs?
things.
Sweet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess they have to do something with it.
I'm sure they turn it all in too, especially the money.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure there's no corruption there.
Well, of course there's going to be, but they house and they transport federal prisoners. So if you're going from one prison to the next, you don't go with prison guards or local police or anything. You're going to be with federal marshals. And they also fully and completely operate the witness protection program.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I thought that was interesting. There are roughly 3,700 U.S. Marshals, and they make on average 310 fugitive arrests a day.
Wow.
I know. I thought that was interesting, too.
Yeah.
And this includes in other countries. They do work with international law enforcement to apprehend fugitives that are either on the run or have set up residency in another country. So it is actually realistic. that the marshal would have been there in Australia to nab Kate, which I thought was kind of interesting. So there you go. Some facts. Soak them up.
Very cool. Learned a lot there.
All right. So we're going to go into our best and worst. Let's start with moments. How about you, Christy?
My favorite part was when, well, two parts. My absolute favorite was Hurley. How do you know it wasn't a dinosaur?
He's
I
so
just
great.
fucking love him so much. But then I also enjoyed the little happy montage at the end where everybody's being kind to, each other, and Walt gets Vincent back and he like literally kicks his heels up, and
yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, that's a fun moment.
All right. Worst,
Sawyer shooting the marshal and fucking that up.
I have a feeling that might sweep this category today. How about you, Derek? What were your best and worst moments?
My favorite was like at the end as well, when they did the montage showing everybody, kind of panning around. And then, of course, the worst moment again was, Sawyer being inept and missing the heart point blank and not killing the marshal.
Okay, so that's 2 for 2. Ben?
Well, that's actually my favorite moment is when... it's not necessary. It's not... I said moment. It's not my favorite that he did that, but when they're coming to the tent and it goes bang, and then you hear the guy continue the look on Sawyer's face. That is my favorite moment.
Okay, so the moment is the choking and the look on his face where he's like, ruh-roh.
When it is brought home to him, what an implacable fuck up he is.
All right. So then, what's your worst moment?
My worst moment. I didn't really have a worst moment in this show. In this specific episode.
Maybe
everybody. I mean,
Charlie won't shut the fuck up about the band.
Yeah, I just didn't really have a least favorite. I like this episode a lot. So,
well, I mean, it's a Kate episode.
I'm not going to be unduly negative.
Yeah. Well, before we started, recording these, we planned out who was going to take like what episode, and since I planned it, I stole all of the Kate episodes. So I think they're all great. Anyways, for me, best moment, it was when Jack said, "It doesn't matter who we were, Kate. 3 days ago, we all died." I loved that. I thought it put a really nice bow kind of on the first 3 episodes, where like as of the first one is pilot, part 1 and 2, and you get some pieces. With this episode with Kate, how it ends with the montage and that kind of thing, it sort of ties it in this little bow about like they're really in this situation. They could be never seen again by the rest of the world, and I thought that was a really great moment.
And there's also the sort of literal take on that, like maybe what he's saying is true. Maybe they are dead. Well,
now that of course was one of the major like fan theories. And you know what? Maybe we'll dive into some of those. We could do a special episode where we talk about what some of the fan theories were at the time of the airing. Actually, that's fucking brilliant. Let's just put that on the to-do list. We'll do a special episode sometime about what the fan theories were. All right, brilliant. Let's do some character rankings. I will start, obviously. For me, the best character in this episode is Kate. I don't really care that she's on the run. I don't know what she did yet, so I'm not so worried about it. Maybe a little annoyed at the, grabbing of the steering wheel. But she's Kate, and she's the fucking best. Yeah. The worst character is Sawyer because, I could have shot that guy dead. I don't come on.
I just imagine him in the tent, like before the shot went off, and he's sitting there trying to pull it, and somebody just walks by, is like, "Safety's on," like. Why this damn thing won't work?
Oh my god. And I am fucking Kate, obviously, duh. And I'm killing the marshal because, I like Kate, and that's fine. He really did die anyways. Let's see. Derek, what are your rankings?
My number one character this episode is Jack, because, he tries to keep the marshal alive. Then eventually, when he's basically forced to do it, puts him out of his misery due to Sawyer's fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And then my worst is Sawyer, again, because of, he botches killing the marshal.
Yeah.
And then fuckable this episode is Son, just because that scene when Michael runs up on her.
You got that little titty moment. Did it for you.
Yeah, because, the previous episode, like, she had the button up, and now she's, like, completely uncovered.
Oh, well, all right.
And then Killable will be the marshal, just because he had to die.
All right, Ben?
True. My top character in this episode is Locke, actually.
Oh.
I like the sort of mystery that surrounds him, and I also like the way that he kind of quietly works in the background, and he solves the problem for a child that his own father couldn't do. Like, and then he doesn't demand praise or anything for it. He's just, while creepy, he's showing to be like a really compassionate person, which I think
he's certainly an interesting character.
Yeah.
I had him ranked as my second best character for a lot of those same reasons.
Worst character was Sawyer. I mean, in addition to him just being a complete inept tool, he also is like, he's the exact opposite of Locke in that way. He's loud. He doesn't really try to help anybody. Like, they paint him in these episodes as a very,
a jackass.
Like you said, kind of a redneck. Yeah. He kind of like, even the thing about him calling him, Omar and whatever names he came up with,
Abdul,
Al Jazeera.
and Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera, Abdul North Tower. And he kind of just reflects the sort of zeitgeist in the U.S. at that time, which wasn't, which was not entirely healthy. For who I'd fuck, in this one, I'm actually going to fuck Shannon.
That's out of left field.
It is out of left field, but I'm also going to kill her. The order of those two has not been decided yet.
Ew!
But,
no!
Well, if she won't
we do not endorse necrophilia here at Lost in My 40s. That's not what we're doing.
No kink shaming.
Ew!
Serious. Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Hey,
this is disallowed. This has been banned.
This is not disallowed.
No.
Oh God.
This is a place of freedom. This is a place of acceptance.
Okay, that's
we're in the trust circle.
Oh my God. Christy, what are your rankings?
I am with Ben, and my favorite is Locke because he found Vincent. Right. But then my least favorite is also Locke because he's fucking creepy. And then I'm gonna fuck Sun because she's topless and hot. I don't care if she's dirty.
That scene got two of you. All right.
Yeah.
It did.
And then I'm gonna kill the marshal because it's a mercy at this point.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I'd have shot him myself. All right, so we're gonna do some final impressions, and Derek's questions that he has. So, how about Christy? What's your final impression of this episode here?
I thought it was a great episode. I love that we got some answers about Kate. Lots of really good character development, and then the whole we all died 3 days ago line was just such a perfect way to come to basically kind of the end of the episode.
I agree there. I'll just go ahead and give mine. I think this is an awesome episode. I love Kate as the anti-heroine. I think it's freaking great. And I think this episode, theme-wise, it introduces some important themes here about starting over and having the opportunity to change and be someone different. And, everybody on this island, like Jack says, they're all dead. They really have this sort of second chance to be someone else when you live your whole life here, in the real world, not isolated on an island. The things that you do and the choices that you make follow you. And this is where we're starting to see how maybe that's not the case for the people on this island, which is a big theme. And I do see this episode. It's the first three feel almost like a solid trilogy opening to me, which is why we released all three today. And yeah, I just think it leaves you at a spot where you feel like, all right, this show could be really interesting. Ben, how about you? Final impressions for Kate's episode?
I mean, I like this episode because you start to see the characters kind of settle into themselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. Obviously, getting Kate's at least a piece of her backstory. That's cool. It sets her up as sort of a wild card among the cast. I really like. I love the scene at the end, where they're doing this sort of montage and everyone, there's that kind of sense of community that's starting to develop. And exactly. I love the way that they sort of, they run that sort of weird, the musical sort of counterpoint that they do where this, sort of eerie music comes over and Locke is just kind of looking out at everything. And there's definitely something that they're hinting at, that there's another level to him that we're not seeing and they're only sort of glimpsing it. So all in all, I just love, I like this episode because it starts to, it gets people sort of more set in their personalities. And then it really starts to kind of indicate that there's just more to it.
Yeah.
So I agree. The first 3 episodes really kind of set things up.
Where
I feel like this could almost be a 3-part episode, but obviously they can't do that because going to the Kate flashbacks, it makes sense. You have to cut that into another episode.
Right. That's how I feel too. Like it makes sense that they start with the pilot and you just get kind of, various bits and pieces of stories, and they really start the actual, episode by episode characters with Kate. However, to me, I'm agreeing with you. Like it does feel like a little trilogy of an opening, actually, which is interesting because the season does end that way. It ends with Exodus parts 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So Derek, what are your final impressions and what are the questions that you have and how are you liking the show?
Well, I like this episode because it does give more background on Kate and, why, didn't really tell why she's a fugitive, just that she is. And I do like also Locke. Like he was my second favorite this episode because he, helps Walt find Vincent, who I guess wasn't the monster. Or maybe he is.
Not that you know of.
Right, yes.
These are the deeper questions.
But there's one scene where Walt tells Michael that Mr. Locke said a miracle happened to him. And that's actually leads to my biggest question in the episode is, what is the miracle?
Okay, well, stay tuned. And thank you for the transition into next week's episode, which will be presented by Ben. It is a Locke episode. It's called Walkabout. And Derek, I have to warn you, there are questions that you will have as we go on with this show that will never be answered. So you're gonna have to sit with that. However, this one, what is the miracle, absolutely will be. And we'll see everybody next week for that. Bye.
See y'all.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.